I'm Alex Sager. I'm the chair of the philosophy department and one of the organizers for the Oregon High School and Middle School Ethics Bowl. So this is the first in a series of videos we're making about using ethical theory for Ethics Bowl. One of the first questions we get from people who are new to Ethics Bowl and often from experienced coaches is ethical theory necessary for Ethics Bowl? And if you do want to incorporate it into your practice sessions and to your presentation of your cases, how should you do that? So we're going to record a number of videos. Some of them are going to explain particular ethical theories and apply them to ethics bowl cases. What I want to do in this lecture is say a few things about what ethical theory is and why you might want to use it in ethics bowl. Is it necessary for ethics bowl teams to use ethical theory? Many coaches who don't have a background in philosophy, they wonder if they need to read a textbook or take an ethics class to help their teams. I think the first thing to keep in mind is you don't need a background in philosophical ethics to coach ethics bowl or to do well in the competition. The most important skills are close reading, the ability to identify moral issues, and to be comfortable discussing diverse points of view. Sometimes, in fact, a superficial knowledge of ethical theory can be worse than not having any knowledge at all. Ethics bowl is applied ethics. This requires looking at the details. No ethical theory is going to give you a blueprint on how to put together a sophisticated response to an ethics bowl case. In fact, you can often build a case by appealing to fairly specific, isolated principles. For example, about privacy or freedom, property, or very specific harms. That said, a knowledge of ethical theory can deepen and sharpen your analysis. It can help you see things you would have otherwise missed, and it can help you look at cases from a different perspective. So what I look at ethical theory as a toolkit. It's a toolkit that will help ethical reflection, but a theory on its own isn't going to tell you how to think about the ethics bowl cases or how to present an ethics bowl. So what is an ethical theory? Usually when people ask about ethical theory for ethics bowl, they have in mind what are called normative theories. These are theories like consequentialism or utilitarianism, which is a type of consequentialism, deontology, sometimes Kantianism is included under deontology, virtue ethics or feminist care ethics. Now, what normative theories try to do is they try to provide a system to explain why actions, practices, or institutions are right or wrong, or good or bad. Now, normative ethics is different from meta-ethics. It asks questions about the nature and meaning of ethics, such as, are moral statements true or false? Are moral standards universal, or are they relative to particular cultures? Are there moral facts? And if so, what are they and where do they come from? For the most part, you won't be doing meta-ethics and ethics bowl. Judges generally don't want to hear a presentation about, say, whether there are universal moral standards, simply because if you spend your time talking about universal moral standards, you're not going to be focusing on the question at hand. Now, normative ethics is also different from applied ethics, and ethics bowl is applied ethics. The best writing in applied ethics, if you read philosophy journals, rarely simply applies normative theory to a particular issue. And you can do quite a bit of high quality applied ethics without committing to any particular normative theory. This is a good thing, because philosophers have not come to agreement about any moral theory being the correct one. What you'll find is that even philosophers who agree on which general normative theory is the best one, they tend to disagree on the details. So if we had to resolve all the issues in normative theory to do ethics, we would never get around to discussing particular issues. That said, normative theory can be very useful for applied ethics. First question to ask is whether you need to use ethical theory in your presentation. Some cases may deal with very particular questions or values. For example, consider two cases from the 2018-19 Regional Ethics Bowl, China's social credit system and drawing the line on gerrymandering. In the case about China's social credit system, your focus may be mostly on the values of privacy and freedom, without really looking at any general normative theory. Why do we care about privacy? How does the ability to decide what information is shared affect your freedom? For the case drawing the line on gerrymandering, you might primarily be interested in democracy. What does it mean for a system to be of the people, ruled by the people, for the people? How do voting systems preserve these ideals? How can gerrymandering perhaps undermine those ideals? In contrast, take a case like liver allocation, also from the 2018-19 Regional Ethics Poll. It might be analyzed using a consequentialist theory, where we try to allocate livers in a way that will do the most good. Of course, how we determine what is the most good it's a complex question. Normative theory may be very helpful in beginning to answer it. There are no hard and fast rules about when to bring normative theory into your analysis. Instead, you need to ask if using ethical theory will be helpful. Will it illuminate key issues? Does it help explain your moral intuitions? Will it help make your analysis more coherent and systematic? If the answer is yes, you may want to make ethical theory part of your presentation. Even when you don't make a normative theory central to your analysis, it may still play a key role in thinking about the cases. We should distinguish between your presentation and your analysis. You won't be presenting everything you think about the case. Rather, your presentation will focus on the questions that the moderator asks in the ethics poll. You will bring your background knowledge to what you present. And so studying ethical theory will alert you to the moral features of particular cases and give you a vocabulary for discussing them. For example, if you're giving a presentation that focuses on promoting happiness or some other value, you might step back and ask what a deontologist or a Kantian would think about your presentation. Knowing these moral theories will allow you to do this. And if your presentation focuses on certain rights or moral principles, you might ask what a virtue ethicist or maybe a feminist care ethics might say. Asking these questions can make you aware of aspects of the case that you've missed and help you think about how someone who disagrees with you might approach the case. So I think it's important to be cautious about how to use normative theory, but it's very useful to have a knowledge of moral theory going into ethics poll. So if you're interested in acquiring this knowledge and thinking in particular how to apply particular normative theories to ethics poll cases, my colleagues have recorded a number of videos which I hope will be useful to you.